11. Try to be 1-0 this week. Kids have had a great week. Preparation, a lot to prepare for with what Virginia does in every phase. It's a blessing that we don't have these guys on a short week, because this would be a miserable game because of. They have 30 different personnel groupings. They got receivers in 98, tight ends in 99, football players, and they got numbers everywhere. Half the battle will be finding out who's on the field on offense. Defensively, a lot of different coverages, a lot of different fronts, from 3 down to 4 down to exotic blitzes, blitzes you never saw before. So we're going to see a lot of things we don't know and could not possibly practice. In special teams, they got more fake punts in history. We've worked more fake punts, fake field goals. It's just a lot of different stuff, and our kids have handled it great. But we got to have big eyes, as I told the guys, that just got to see everything. Tight ends will line up a number one receiver where we're pressing, a corner's pressed on them. Our guys have to know who plays what position, because it's not normal receiver numbers playing receiver. It's not normal tight end numbers. It's just kind of all kinds of different stuff. So different size guys, 225-pound, receivers and tight ends and different numbers. So it's just a lot, and our kids have handled it well this week. But we're fired up, ready to go.
How much is the defense? It improved obviously from the BYU game to the Notre Dame game. What did they do differently against Notre Dame?
They lined up more 4 down in that game compared to what they had. And again, maybe that's just based on who Notre Dame was, or maybe they changed in the open week, because they had an open week to kind of go, hey, who are we? What are we doing? So we're not sure what it is, but we've dealt with both of them, and
their defense is playing much better.
Yeah, so maybe they fix some things in the open week. That's what an open week's for. So maybe that's what happened.
Can you talk to us about being able to adjust to things that they didn't see, that defense hasn't shown on tape before, and that's something that you guys have faced all season? What's been now the biggest game of the season? What have you got? How do you see you guys respond to that kind of approach to this game?
I think they've done it. All year we see different stuff. I think our offense is different than the conventional spread offense of today. Like you go into North Carolina week, we know exactly what formations we're going to see. We know where they're going to line up. We know everything. They line up in formations: whip, ollie, out, wide, empty, and it's like you can name the top 7 tray formation, which is what we call them, and that's what they're going to line up in. We don't know what they're going to line up in. And same thing defensively. So we've adjusted all year, especially on offense, to all the different stuff: playing soft, playing deep, dropping 8. So that's something that our offense has done a great job at.
Pat, as a point of reference, when you mentioned all the different personnel groupings, what's typical? You said they have 30 or so. What's typical for a defense?
Typical nowadays, in 2021, 2. Okay, it's usually 11 personnel, which is 1 tight end, 1 back. That's why it's called 11, and it's known that it's 3 receivers. But we see 11. I would say this season we've seen 11 personnel. I bet you 70% of the time. Now they might line up in different personnels, but everybody is an 11 personnel team. Which we are a lot. Our offense is on 11, or 12. We'll get into some 22s. We'll get into some 20 personnel. And again, I know those numbers you're coming. What the heck is that? But most of the time we see really just 2 tight ends, 1 back, and 1 tight end, 1 back is what the norm is. This week, they got sets where they have no running back on the field. There's 3 tight ends. They'll have no running back. Their second favorite personnel grouping is not having a running back on the field and having 2 or 3 or just 1 tight end in the game. Which, if there's 1 tight end in the game, that means there's 3 receivers. So it's like they do all that. And trying to figure out who's who is, you better know the jersey numbers. You don't need to know their name or if they're from Hawaii or what, but you got to know what position they play. And again, it's going to be a challenge from the box to figure it out.
Have you had super senior conversations with guys who are potentially going to come back, not going to come back, and I guess how are you guys handling senior day?
We're handling senior day. Does anybody wants to say they're a senior, they can come out as a senior. And again, I'm not going to get into that, John. Just Kenny Pickett was a senior last year. We did senior day. Okay, thank God he came back. So the kids got to make decisions, but they don't want to make a decision saying, hey. And I think we had this conversation last year. They don't want to make a decision saying, hey, I think I'm going to leave. Hey, can we go back and do that senior day again? So it's better to have senior day, and then you get 2 of them. We had to change the whole order last year. Chris LaSalle just reminded me last year, Kenny's ankle wasn't good, and he was supposed to be up, and the senior guy to come out. We had to change the whole order because he went in to get his ankle taped. I don't think he wanted to come out for senior day. maybe that was a telling story right there. He almost missed senior day.
So are you encouraging?
We had to make him last.
Are you encouraging guys just go do it this Saturday and make your decision once the season's over?
Yeah, I mean, if they don't want to do it, I'm not going to tell them. To me, it's their decision. I'm not going to force them to do it. It's their decision what they want to do. But what I've said is take your time. With all those conversations, the big thing is take your time, make a good decision like Kenny did. And I think everybody can learn from Kenny's decision. I think a year is better than being drafted in the 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever someone would maybe project it at. And it's hard to know what the projection is. Everybody's got a different story. But it just take their time and make a good decision. It's a business decision for every one of those seniors. 23 of them. It's a business decision. And again, not obviously for 23 of them. Some don't have a choice. But there's some that do have a choice.
I think you had mentioned, maybe it was AC Media Days or preseason, the hope that the 85 scholarship limit with the super seniors next season wouldn't be, like, you guys would get that relief again. Any updates on that at all?
Ain't happening.
Not happening.
No.
What are your thoughts on that, I guess?
It's bad. I mean, the NCAA comes out and says this is what it's going to be, and everybody assumed that. And they gave everybody an extra year. But college football programs across the country are not giving everybody an extra year, so it's a problem. There's a true math problem here that isn't going to look good in the end. So we will find out in February, maybe in December, but it's not a good math problem.
Pat, I want to ask you about Coach Whipple, who was nominated for the Broyles Award, and that's, I think when people think of the guy who wins that award, and obviously that's been you, that's sort of like an up-and-coming person, someone that ends up on like a lot of head coach watch lists and things like that afterwards. He's sort of a different mold of a guy for that award. What do you feel like has made him be able to stay so successful and so relevant in that position for so long?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Whip is a fantastic football coach, and I nominate him. So, I mean, that's kind of how it gets done, and he's well deserving. I mean, the stats, the numbers he's put up, the points, the whole deal. He's just an outstanding football coach. It never gets old, And again, you talk up and coming. I don't think the Broyles Award is meant for the up and coming coach. I don't think that's how Frank wanted it to be done. I had the pleasure of having breakfast with him. It's just someone that's had a lot of success in doing things the right way. And when you watch how our offense is productive, I mean, Coach Whipple's first game was against Virginia, back in 2019, and then again this will be the last home game in 2021. So we'll see how far we've come offensively from that year to this year. But it takes time to develop and get your guys to know what to do, and it's not just Kenny Pickett. It's the receivers, running the right routes and being in the right spots, and if the receivers aren't in the right spots, you see what happens. It's not a good thing either.
Did you know him before when you got ready to hire him?
Coach Whipple?
Have you met him, or you go mostly by reputation?
Oh no, I knew Coach Whip. Again, coached against him for many years, so I knew he was it's like when you coach against somebody, you're like, that guy's pretty good. Like Paul Christ in the Big Ten was like the guy. I loved the challenge in the chess match going against Paul Christ, and Mark Whipple was the same type of guy. Pain in the butt to defend, and I think the first time we defended him, I was a D-line coach, so I didn't have much. They were the passing game just blew us up. I'm looking back as a D-line coach, like, hey, what are you guys doing back there? What are we coaching? It was a mess, but he causes problems, in whatever he's done. So I've known him for a long time and had respect across the sideline. So I've known how he's developed quarterbacks, not just the Kenny Pickett's, but even his last year at UMass. I mean, he had two quarterbacks get hurt, and his other two quarterbacks. If you go back and look at his last year at UMass and see the number 1, number 2, number 3, then you see what he did with those guys. He's always done that. He's developed quarterbacks and made them better. And Kenny's had a great time with him, and so did Big Ben, and plenty more throughout his career. So. He's deserving of that award.
When you were talking about the defense last week, you talked about how a lot of people were overlooking the impact of the defense going into the game, and Phil Campbell even said that fired them up last week when you were talking about that. But now you're facing a quarterback who's thrown for even more yards than Kenny this year.
So I got to go back in that meeting again?
Well, I was going to ask, what kind of
Phil said it fired him up, then I'll go back and do it again.
Oh gosh.
I'll give him some more. You and Phil are tight, huh?
I guess so.
So he said it fired him up. We'll give him a
Well,
little more
it
juice.
was more so after the game, like he said, like you saying that did that kind of charge guys up a little bit last week.
And again, it's true. I mean, and again, I truly believe this. As explosive as our offense is, and it was, timing. I've never got up in front of the defense and tried to take the thunder from Batesy because he does a great job. But I just felt like there was a time I needed, again, who knew that, maybe we didn't score as many points. I mean, that's why they call it a team. You can't always count on outscoring someone. You've got to stop them on defense, and our defense just keeps getting better. And it's just like, hey guys, you want to win, you got to play your best football. And I think that's what happens as the season goes on. It can't be just one side of the ball doing it all. There's going to be times when we're going to need the offense to score more points. There's going to be points that, times that the defense has to shut them down and make something happen. And we were able to do that last week.
And it's a senior class that has different graduation years from high school in it, but what impact overall do you think this group has made on your program?
Yeah, Jeff. I mean, they've been with us for a long time, and I think anytime, again, it's you can call them my guys, even though the first year were all my guys. I've always had that attitude that they're all my guys, and this senior class has been special. I mean, and again, it'll get more special each game. I mean, it can be historic what they've done and stuck together. And again, I think the biggest thing about this senior class is they're selfless, all of them. Again, there's more players on our football team in our locker room than we've ever had before, and they're selfless. It's something we talk about a ton, and we talked about the we, not the me stuff, and we, not me. And they've done a great job, leading. We have a leadership council meeting in here, talk with the seniors, and they've been just like, I've sat in these leadership meetings, from the younger guys to the older guys, and it's been a point where during the years, we're like, hey, what do you guys need? What's going on? And you'd hear all kinds of crazy stuff like, okay, that's on a Thursday before a game, we're talking about that. Like, this group has been so mature. It's been the best leadership group I've had because it's about football. Not one time did they come here and say, Coach, we want to wear these uniforms. A lot of times it's about, they think they're the designer for the weekend, which is great. I want you to pick uniforms, but it ain't about that. These guys are all about football and winning football games, and that's what I love about them.
Does that build upon itself? Like when you have a class like that, do you feel like it gets passed down?
You know what? When you see a class like that, it makes me wonder, okay, because I've seen the other classes come through and kind of, go, okay, I see what it's all about. So now the great thing is I think we got 5 seniors in that group. So next year, those 5 are gone. Hopefully there'll be some new guys coming in, and all of a sudden, the guys that were in here with this senior class with Kenny and Desmond and Cal and Cam Bright will know how it was done. And then when they hear something crazy talked about in there, they'll kind of go, wait a second, that's not what this is for. So I think they will learn, and that's part of development. And I've learned because it's kind of like, I sat, because I have Chris Lasal sit in there with me, and I'm like, Chris, this is different. Like, even for the first couple, I'm like, these guys are different. It's not about other stuff, and it's a tribute to what they care about. They care about winning football games. And what do we need to do to win that?
Pat, you were talking about the coaching chess match. What can you tell us about Matt Canada against Ronaldo Hill on Sunday?
I have no idea. I know Matt's a heck of a coach. Ronaldo's a heck of a coach. I never thought they got coordinator against coordinator, huh? But it's going to be a heck of a football game, and I love Ronaldo, but I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's it mean to have been in a position where you've been here long enough that you have guys that were coaches under you that are now having success at the next level and things like that? It's awesome. It's awesome to see what Matt's done and what Ronaldo's done, and again, through my career, there's been some great coaches go to the next level, and it's awesome. I mean, you got Chris Beatty with the Chargers as well coming back, and Maurice French is coming back to town too. So I know he's activated and texted me. He had a tackle on the kickoff, I think, or the final. So we've texted back and forth. So I'm fired up for him. So he knows what Heinz Field's all about. So does Ronaldo, and so does Chris Beatty. So when they play here or out there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's out there. So sorry, got no idea.
What is
I know that field would be a mess if they did.
What has Eric Kasparovich brought to your staff this season?
I wish I could tell you. I know he's with us all the time. I know he's teaching. But Eric's been awesome, and so is Craig Urbik. I mean, both those guys have been. And I see Craig a little bit more. because Eric is coaching. But they've been both awesome. I mean, I know Eric sits in there with them, at halftime adjustments and all that. And again, I'm with the defense, so I don't ever hear what's going on. But we haven't kicked him out, put it that way. So he's done an unbelievable job, and our kids really enjoy him. Kenny really enjoys Eric as well. He gives him good advice and tips, during the week.